Today we're going to learn how to graph a line given an equation. Our first example is we're going to graph the equation y equals 2/3 x minus 4. Now, a really important part of being able to graph this is knowing which part of the equation is the slope and which part of the equation is the y-intercept. And this very frequently gets mixed up by many students, so that's something that you really have to focus and pay attention to. Our equation for every line is y equals mx plus b in slope-intercept form. And our slope is always our number that is the coefficient or is in front of the x. So our slope in this occasion is 2/3. Our y-intercept is our b, and that's always the plain constant by itself without a variable. So in this case, our y-intercept is -4. Our very first step is we're going to find the y-intercept and we're going to plot it. So we're going to go ahead and get a graph ready, and it's our traditional -5 to 5 graph. And we're going to go ahead and plot the number -4 on the y-axis. Remember, our y-axis is our up and down axis. So we're going to go ahead and plot that -4, which is our constant. Now we're going to go ahead and find the slope. Now, the slope is the number in front of the x. Now, if it is not a fraction, for example, if it's 5, then we're going to make it into a fraction, 5/1, which we know is equivalent to plain 5. And that's because our slope moves two directions: rise, up and down, over run, left to right. So we need to have two numbers for movement. So we're going to go ahead and from this first dot that we've already plotted, the y-intercept, we're going to move the slope. And the equation for our slope is delta y over delta x. Remember, y is your eyes and they're on top, and your x is your legs, and we're running across with your legs, and your legs are on the bottom. So this is rise over run. Now, if we have a positive number for our rise, we're going to move up from the dot. If we have a negative number for the rise in the numerator, we're going to move down. Now, our run, if it's positive, we're going to move to the right, and if it's negative, we're going to move to the left. So we're going to go ahead and analyze our slope, 2/3. And the 2 is positive, so we're going to go up 2, and the 3 is positive, so we're going to move 3 to the right. So from this first initial dot where we plotted our y-intercept, we're going to move up 2 and 3 to the right. And that's where we're going to plot our second dot. Now, our fourth step is we're going to go ahead and we are going to repeat this slope for the entire line. So we are going to go up 2 and 3 to the right, up 2 and 3 to the right. So here we go, up 2 and 3 to the right. After we've repeated that enough and we have enough of the line to use our ruler, we are going to connect the entire graph, taking up your whole graph all the way from one side to the other. So we're going to go ahead and connect that and add arrows on either end. And finally, we're going to name your line. Naming your line is simply writing the equation on the graph itself. So in this case, my red line is y equals 2/3 x minus 4. We're going to go ahead and try this again with example number 2. Our second example is y is equal to -3x plus 5. Once again, very important part is to know which one is the slope and which one is the y-intercept. Our slope is the number in front of the x, so it's -3, and our y-intercept is the constant, the plain number, +5. So first we're going to go ahead and plot the y-intercept. So we're going to go ahead and make a dot on the y-axis, the up and down axis, at +5. Now we're going to go ahead and move our slope. Our slope is -3. This is not a fraction, so we're going to write it as -3/1 because we need to have a movement of up and down for rise and a movement for right or left. So this is a -3. That -3 tells me to go down 3 from my y-intercept, and my run is a +1, so I'm going to go over 1. So I'm going to go down 3 and 1 to the right. So down 3 and 1 to the right, and that's my second dot. I'm going to repeat this slope as many times as I need to find a good, accurate representation of my line before I connect it with a ruler. So I'm going to go down 3 and 1 to the right, down 3 and 1 to the right. Now that I can see where my line is, I'm going to go ahead and take my ruler out, and I'm going to make a solid line taking up my entire graph and add arrows on the ends. I'm finishing up by naming my line, and as you can see, my purple line is y equals negative 3x plus 5. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how to graph a line given an equation.